Hello and welcome to Digitech. Today we're starting our first project on objects. Objects are data structures, stuff where you can store information like a complicated variable. And they're a bit like arrays, except you can sort of name all of the rows, I guess, of the array. So when we talk about objects, we talk about key value pairs, where the key is like the name of the data and the value is the data itself. Quite often an object will represent a real life thing. So in this case, we're representing the Digitech subject. And so the object will be called subject or something like that. And the information that we're storing about the subject are the key value pairs. So the key might be name and the value would be Digitech. Another key might be teacher and the value will be Mr. Helen. And in that way, you're trying to create like a JavaScript representation of some real life thing often. It's not exclusively real life, but it can. Object is a very handy thing for representing anything that has characteristics about it. So here I am writing up the HTML skeleton that's going to let us interact with our JavaScript program and testing out the library load as usual. This particular project only has one HTML element to it, which is the paragraph where we're going to output the details of the object, so we can kind of see how we can get some information that we have stored in the object. So I'll start up a new JavaScript file and quickly just do a console log to make sure that it's all connected and we're ready to start coding. And I think I go straight to the page and open up the console and realize it's not connected. And obviously I haven't done any of the JavaScript stuff in the HTML yet. So first thing is to grab jQuery and then link up our own JavaScript as well. In all of these projects, we're only linking we're actually linking two JavaScript files. We're linking one JavaScript file which has all of the jQuery stuff in it, which we get from code.jquery.com/ and the file name is jquery351.js. And the other JavaScript file that we connect is our own one, subject details. We could connect more if you wanted. If you have a complicated program, you're often connecting more than one JavaScript file of your own. You can connect as many as you like. Sometimes the order does matter, but because we're only doing one, it's not too bad. So first things first is to create this object. The object is shown by the curly brackets there. We have the let keyword to create a new variable. Our variable name is subject, and the type of variable is an object, and you can tell it's an object because it has curly brackets. And now we're just writing out those key value pairs. So the key on that line 4 is name, and the value is Digitech. The key on line 5 is teacher. And there I accidentally put quotes in around the key name. So you don't put quotes on the key name because it's not actually a string. It's more like a variable name than anything else. So you don't need to put quotes around that. With our object created, with our 3 different characteristics about it, we can start writing the output that we're just going to spit onto the page. The way that you get an information from an object is with a dot. So to get the name of our subject, we just go subject.name. And because this is a really long output string, I'm going to put kind of every new section on a new line just so I can make sure that there's definitely pluses at the end of every one and I can see everything kind of individually. And I'm just working on a sentence that kind of describes the object itself. So there are however many students that take this subject which is taught by that teacher. With a full stop at the end, the only last thing to do is to add in the code that puts that string onto the page. It's just going to inject it into the middle of that paragraph. Save it and have a quick look in the browser, and there's our paragraph. So all of the little object-y pieces are replaced by what that object is storing. 150 Digitech and Mr. Helen. And some people prefer to have all this written on one line, like the multi-line thing doesn't work for them. So we'll just show that alternative. It's quite long, going well out past the side of the screen. And written like this, it can work for you. If it does, that's fine. Some people find that making sure that you get all the pluses in exactly the right place can be quite hard. So right here, I'm going to show you an alternative for doing that. So rather than using the normal backticks, the normal quotes that go straight down, we're using backticks, which is over on the keyboard above the tab key on the left-hand side. And if you do this, you can put your variable names inside $ curly brackets, just in the middle of your sentence. JavaScript will know that they're not part of the actual sentence, that they're actually variable names that it should go and fill in. And this means you don't need to use any pluses at all. So it's a slightly kind of newer way of writing these strings. Some people find it a lot easier to read, but it does have curly brackets and $signs. So these two lines, 9 and 10, are exactly the same, do exactly the same thing. It's just personal preference of which one you think is simpler and easier to use or easier to read. Some people think pluses and separate quotes and stuff is easier. Some people think a $sign and a curly bracket is not that bad. So you can see the page hasn't changed at all. And like any good coder, we'll just add in a couple of comments to explain what we're doing. The first chunk there is creating the object. Second one is building our output string. And the last one is putting that output onto the page. And that'll do it for our introduction to objects.